Dawn, June 6, 1944. Before the first Allied boots hit the beaches, a secret mission was already underway. 225 Rangers were ordered to do the impossible: scale a cliff under machine gun fire, destroy hidden German cannons, and save D-Day from disaster. What they found at the top shocked the world. This isn't just a war story. It's a story of sacrifice, of courage, and of men who climbed into hell for the freedom of others. If stories like this matter to you, if you believe heroes should never be forgotten, hit subscribe. Join us at Wings of Valor, where the past flies again. The sea was alive that morning, more than just water and wind. It held the breath of an entire world, a silence before the roar, as if the Atlantic itself was holding back tears. It was June 6, 1944, and every vessel that crossed the English Channel carried with it not just men, but generations, sons, fathers, brothers, husbands, who knew they might never return. Among them, 225 American Rangers sat in silence aboard small landing crafts, their hands shaking not from fear, but from the weight of what they'd been chosen to do. They were not headed for the same beaches as the rest of the Allied army. Their mission was not to storm the sands, but to scale a wall of death, a 100-foot cliff at Pointe du Hoc, where German artillery was said to be waiting, aimed directly at Omaha and Utah beaches. If those guns fired, D-Day would fail. There would be no liberation of France, no collapse of the Nazi war machine, only blood in the tide and silence in the West. The Rangers knew this. They had seen the reconnaissance photos, heard the intelligence reports, watched as commanders pointed to the cliff and said, "You must get up there, or the whole invasion dies." And so, as the steel hulls of their boats sliced through dark water under gray skies, they whispered quiet prayers, some to God, others to mothers, wives, unborn children. The first sight of the cliffs was like looking into the mouth of hell. Gun emplacements loomed like dragon eyes, and machine gun nests stared down like reapers waiting for harvest. As the landing crafts neared the shoreline, the sea erupted with fire. Mortars slammed into the water. MG-42s stitched bullets across the waves. One boat was hit directly, erupting in flame. Another spilled its men too soon, and they drowned under the weight of gear. Still, the Rangers pushed forward. The ramps dropped, and chaos began. Men fell into the surf, some never rising. Others staggered onto the beach, bullets snapping past their ears, sand exploding around them like thunder. Grappling hooks were launched. Rope ladders swung, some burned before they reached the top. Others caught rock, clung for a heartbeat, then tore free under enemy fire. But from that hellscape, men began to climb. With bleeding fingers, shattered helmets, and shattered nerves, they went up. Not because they were fearless, but because they were needed. Thomas Hale, just 22, climbed with the photo of his baby sister in his pocket. Beside him, Corporal Diaz whispered the Lord's Prayer. Another Ranger, Jenkins, was shot in the leg but refused to fall, driving his bayonet into the cliffside to pull himself higher. One by one, Rangers reached the summit and disappeared into smoke and fire. They expected gunfire. They expected death. What they didn't expect was silence. The bunkers were empty. The guns, gone! At first disbelief, then rage. Had they come this far, lost this much, only to find nothing? But then tracks, faint wagon wheels in the mud leading inland. No orders came. No reinforcements were waiting. Just instinct and duty, and the knowledge that every second wasted might cost thousands of lives. And so they followed. Through hedgerows and muddy fields, into the fog of Normandy's countryside, they hunted. Hours passed. Then discovery. 5 massive 155mm artillery pieces, hidden beneath netting in an orchard, aimed at the beaches below, silent sentinels of death, waiting. There was no time to wait for support. No time to plan. The Rangers attacked. One climbed atop a cannon and shoved a thermite grenade down the breach. Another used his last bullet to kill a fleeing German. Others formed a perimeter with what little ammo they had left. The guns were destroyed, one by one, with fire and fury and bare hands when nothing else would do. Then came the counterattack. German infantry, realizing what had happened, moved in fast. Bullets flew, smoke choked the fields. But the Rangers held. They held for hours, some wounded, some with broken rifles, some with nothing but knives. They held because they had to. They held because behind them, thousands were still landing on the beaches. They held because failure was not an option. When the sun finally dipped behind the clouds that night, only 90 of the original 225 men could still fight. But they had done what no army, no general, no plan could have done without them. They had saved D-Day, and no one would ever truly know their names. No medals could ever weigh what they carried. No monument could measure what they gave. But history remembers, if only in whispers, that once, when the world stood on the edge of darkness, a few brave men climbed into fire, faced death, found nothing, and still chose to go forward. For freedom, for the future, for us. These were the men of Pointe du Hoc, and this was their stand. Subscribe for more Wings of Valor.